So we're going to start stitching. Now in your pack you should have the threads and needles, but you will also need a pair of scissors. So as I said, there are 2 needles in your pack and you can use whichever one you find the most comfortable. But we're going to start off by choosing our thread. Now I have got a Rudolph. I'm going to use black for my pencil outline, and then I'm going to use some of this red for the nose. So each strand of the cotton has been cut to about 18 inches in length, which is a good length, kind of the length between your hand and kind of just past your elbow, so that it doesn't get tangled, excuse me, whilst you're stitching. So each of the threads is made up of 6 strands. Now usually I would recommend using only 3 of those strands for your stitching. But if you've got a particularly thick line or a thinner area, you may want to change the number of strands that you use, maybe 2 or 3. So I'm going to use 3. Now, the best way of separating your strands is to hold it quite firmly in one hand and pick just one strand, and then holding it really quite firmly in this hand, pull your one strand out, and then repeat that for however many strands that you need. Now the reason that they recommend you do it like this is because it kind of stops it from tangling up as you are sewing. So I've also got my 3 left there, which I will put to one side because I'm going to need those later. And then take my 3 separate threads and hold them together, ready for threading the needle. So the 2 different needles are mainly only different by the size of the eyes. So if you find it quite tricky to thread a needle, you may want to go for the chenille needle, which is the thicker one. So I'm just going to pull these so that they are about the same length. Now I'm not sure whether you're going to be able to see on the camera. Here I have the 2 different needles. So the one on the right is the chenille needle. The one on the left is a size 5 embroidery needle. And they're both, the chenille needle is slightly shorter than the John James size 5, which is my preferred. I prefer this longer one. They're not much difference in thickness, but for ease I'm going to show you the thicker eye. Now, when you're threading your needle, if you can't quite get them the same length at the end, you can chop them. Now I am going to hold the thread all together in between my thumb and forefinger and pinch quite tightly, and then move the eye of my needle, sorry, it's camera's a bit fuzzy, move the eye of my needle towards the thread and then release, and that should push the threads through. That's how I like to do it. And then I am going to knot the end. Simple way of doing a knot. Just wrap it over your finger a few times. Put your needle in. Pull. And that should create a knot at the end. Very small knot there.